The views and opinions expressed in the following paid program are those of the host, callers, and guests, and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of this station, its management, or owners. Welcome to Straight Talk and Retirement, your no-hype source for financial advice in making informed choices about your retirement plan. Get on the phone to talk today at 314-931-5877 or text your question to 84126.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Now, here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Well, hello, St. Louis, and welcome to Straight Talk on Retirement. You're live and local, St. Louis's favorite financial call-in show. I'm Erin Lapidus, president of JBL Financial Services, certified financial planner and retirement coach. I'm joined this week and every single week by my dad, Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach, and my husband, Robert Markham, our life insurance and fixed annuity sales specialist.
Good morning.
Good morning, babe.
Good morning. We help our clients make smart choices about their money. The way we do that is by designing a game plan, a written step-by-step strategy, a real game plan with several goals in mind.
First is to preserve, protect, and prudently grow the assets our clients have taken their entire lifetimes to accumulate.
Second is to create an income stream they can rely on so they can do all the things they want to do in retirement.
And third is cost-effectively addressing their health care needs, like helping individuals enroll in Medicare and choosing the right plan to couple with their Medicare coverage.
And then when they're done enjoying their assets during their lifetime, we show them how to pass them on to the people they love, whether it's their spouses or children, grandchildren, churches, or charities, whoever it might be, without Uncle Sam or the tax courts taking a big bite out of their money. And as their wealth managers, Erin, Rob, and I watch their money every single day to make sure they're staying on track. And that's why they call us the retirement coaches.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's the second day of November.
Woohoo.
Just minutes away from the election.
Hours, 72.
Right. But before that, we have other news. We have a newsletter, a new newsletter that we'd like to chat about this morning. The way you can access that is by logging on to our website, jblfinancial.com. In the upper right-hand corner, there's a Contact Us button where you can request a coaching session, financial, Medicare, or both. Or if you're looking for that newsletter, on the lower left-hand side of the screen, there's a pop-up box that appears. It says sign up for our monthly newsletter. We call it the Coach's Corner. It did go out yesterday about 7:30 a.m., but if you missed it, Rob, what is in our newsletter this month?
Got some great articles in the new November 2024 newsletter. First one, employment stays strong despite high rates. When the Federal Reserve raised interest rates, the unemployment rate usually rises as well. Remarkably, the unemployment rate has stayed under 4% during the entire 27 months during and after the Fed's rate increases that began in 2022. Now that the Fed has begun to lower rates, that should bode well to keep the employment rate strong. And there's a great little infographic there that juxtaposes the unemployment rate against the rate increases over the last couple of years. Our next article is year-end tax tips. We are quickly approaching the end of the year, and with that in mind, our next article lays out some year-end tax tips, to keep in mind as we close out 2024. One of them being accelerate deductions by saving more for retirement. If you're over 50, now is the time where you are eligible to make catch-up contributions. You may want to think about doing that as we accelerate towards the end of the year. Also, if you haven't maxed out your contributions to your IRA or 401k account, now is the time to consider doing so. And remember, for you youngsters on the right side of 73, to take your required minimum distribution from your IRA accounts. You have until December 31st to do so. And our next article, do you have enough life insurance? This is a great article that walks you through some very basic questions you should ask when trying to decide how much life insurance is appropriate and how to determine that amount. And they give you a couple of examples here. I'm going to highlight a couple of them. The income rule, which is a basic rule of thumb that states that your insurance needs should be roughly 6 to 8 times your gross income. So in the example they give, a $60,000 gross salary equals anywhere from $360,000 to $480,000 worth of life insurance. They also give another example of the family needs, and they break that out into 3 categories: the immediate needs, immediate things that your family is going to need upon your departure; ongoing needs, maintaining their lifestyle. This usually revolves around satisfying certain debts, i.e. a mortgage, or perhaps creating capital for your children's college education. And the third one, which isn't listed, but I've decided to throw in, was if there's a special needs situation. Is there a disabled relative or child that we need to use? We need to address that situation with life insurance to create capital for them so that when you're gone, they get the care that they need. And our last article, 8 ideas for smarter holiday shopping, with the theme of
starting early.
Right. With the theme of, we're quickly approaching the end of the year. We thought this would be a great time to highlight some smarter shopping ideas. I'm just going to highlight a couple of them. Shop early. If you shop early, the items you want are more likely to be in stock, and you're going to beat those crowds. No one wants to get caught on a CCTV getting smushed as the Walmart doors open. I mean, you see it every year.
I love Black Friday, except for it's not what it used to be in like the 90s. Even the early 2000s. Now it's like everybody buys everything online. It's no fun anymore.
You still see every year there's like, the doors open and like
the $100 big screen TV.
$27 this or that, and they're just like trampling each other. So you want to avoid that. And another smart provision in the article that I thought was great was consider using one credit card for all shopping. And this is going to accomplish a couple of things. One, you won't get too far out in front of the parade as far as your spending because
it's all in the same spot.
You log into that card, you see exactly what's what and who's who, so you don't get surprised. In the middle or end of January, you get stuck with a bill that you didn't see coming because you just were so caught up in the holiday spirit, buying everyone everything they need, and before you know it, you're well beyond your budget. The next one would be, this is the highest volume consumer event of the year, and that's just a time when scammers want to come out. So if you have all your purchases on one card, you can very quickly see that all your purchases are as they should be, and there's no charges on there that are, say, fraudulent or not exactly as they should be. So,
or I guess if you are unfortunately shopping at a place that does have a security breach, at least it was only one card versus you've been using a bunch of different cards. So.
Exactly. Easily track how much you're spending and easily track to make sure that all those purchases are legitimate. You want to be catching these things early, not when you get the statement. So I thought that was a great little tidbit in the article. And that is your November 2024 monthly newsletter.
And if you'd
Rob, I was going to say, I think you missed one.
What's that?
Ask your dad what he wants.
Oh, right. You're already starting early? You had month of dad in June.
I read the newsletter.
You read the newsletter. If you would like...
I started early.
Yeah.
I'm going to help set a budget for you.
Oh, are you?
Yes.
Well, last week we ended the show with gifts.
Yes.
So I'll need mine before I'll be able to afford yours.
Money is better to give than to receive.
That is so true.
So true.
What we call that, the Coach's Corner, and you can access it by logging onto our website, jblfinancial.com. If you're looking for the 6 other tips that we didn't talk about, and you don't want to wait till the next 3 weeks of November, log on to the website. You'll be able to download that or request that you're added to our newsletter email list.
They say a lot of times with fraudulent spending, they'll try and move like a really inconspicuous amount, like there'll be like a $5 charge or $2.
Like $2.73.
And if that goes through and they're able to get away with it, it's like, okay, now we're, they didn't notice it. So, if you have one card that you're putting all your shopping on, it's just very, very convenient to quickly go in and just make sure that everything is as it should be.
Also, it's kind of like an economy of scale, too. If you are utilizing your credit cards to get whatever discounts, travel miles, cash back, if everything goes onto one card, you're building up more on one versus just little bits on each. So,
and one last point I would just make is, if you had to dispute a charge, or it's better that it be on a credit card than a debit card, because debit card,
get your money back right away.
Exactly, and it won't maybe not always work out for you when you have to dispute a card, but better that you're disputing it on MasterCard or Visa's dime than
versus
out of
your own
exactly. That's my thinking on it.
That's a great point. And we have our first text question. What's the difference between CFP and CFA? So CFP is a certified financial planner. I would say that's client-facing. You're learning different skills and techniques and having ongoing education regarding financial planning. Now, this doesn't necessarily just focus on retirement planning. It's financial planning for potentially all ages of groups of people that an advisor might work with. CFA, I would say that's certified financial analyst. They tend to work for financial firms, more predominantly for mutual fund companies, as opposed to being what I would say client-facing. They are more product-facing because they're dealing more with the intricacies of the analysis of financial products versus the implementation of those products into someone's plan.
Agree.
Okay, well then, since we all agree.
And let's not forget to remind our audience that our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. And as another reminder, all of our clients are folks like you. They're our listeners. They're 55 and older. They would like to retire, or they're already retired. And as Erin mentioned, our goal is to create a game plan for them so they can have a fun, financially secure retirement. And that's what we do. It's all good.
It is.
So are we going to topic number one while we're waiting for our
While we're waiting
texters?
For our texts and calls and questions, let's go to our first topic of the day. Do I really need a coach?
Yeah, I thought this was an interesting one because I'd received a email. It got past Erin from Barry.
Barry.
Yes, Barry. And Barry wrote, he said, Jeff, I've been a regular listener for several years. Having Erin join you has made the show a great deal more listenable. My wife agrees. Her command of the healthcare and financial planning areas impress us every week, and Rob has also been a fabulous addition. Well, thank you, Barry. As I'm 2 years away from my planned retirement, I'm taking a considerable amount of time studying many of the decisions I'll have to make, including ones about my investments, Social Security, election choices, and health care choices. And your show has helped me as well. As I have made all my decisions so far without a coach, do I need one?
It's a great question.
It is a good question. And I think that we can probably respond to this in a non-solicitous way, right?
Of course.
Pretty easy. So let's begin. Something that we know is that the decisions today are much more complex than they were in the past. We've had some really significant changes in the tax laws, Secure Act being one of them. We know that tax planning is a little bit more difficult these days. We have the Trump tax cuts, which may expire or may not expire. Don't know. Well, we know they're going to expire. Question is whether they're renewed.
Right, are they going to be extended or re-adjudicated?
Will they be in the same form?
Mm-hmm.
If Trump isn't elected and there is some continuation of these, where's the emphasis going to be in terms of who pays more, who's going to pay a little bit less, et cetera? And then, frankly, the estate planning side, which is also a very important part of our planning, which is how do we then pass on what we've done to the people that we love in the most tax-efficient manner that follows your wishes.
There's also been some pretty significant changes to Social Security claiming strategies over the last decade. And what I think many people notice is that, and what we tend to point out frequently, is many of these decisions are interlocking, or they have an impact on one another. So we always like to use that example of we're looking at tax brackets, but for individuals that are over 65, we're also looking at that Medicare Part B income level as well. So being able to work with someone that's looking at the whole picture as you are making decisions, because really, Dad, you like to describe it as Gilligan and Skipper. We're really there to be along the way with you. You're making the decisions. Hopefully we're providing you with the information, or your advisor is providing you with the information to be able to make those decisions, give you the full picture. And I think that's part of what can be missing when you're making these decisions on your own, because we think of each decision maybe as independent from one another, when in many cases they can not only be interconnected but dependent upon one another.
Let me give an example. I had a phone call the other day with a client, and she happened to bring up to me, Jeff, my friends are saying that I should really begin to do Roth conversions.
Oh my
Are
they really your friends?
Well,
I was going to say, was she giving you a hard time?
No, she wasn't. She said, Jeff, she had a very large retirement account. It was about $1.5 million. And the question was, should I begin to do some conversions as a way to create, some tax-free income, not only for me, possibly, but also to pass this on tax-free? And what I said to her was, Sally, based on your current income, Roth conversions don't really work for you, because she had a pension, so did her husband. They also, he was older, so he was already taking requirement of distributions, and their total income for the year was somewhere in the area of about $200,000. So they had already broached the first level of Medicare Part B premiums, and they were paying a higher amount. But if they were trying to do
even more conversions,
exactly,
or do any conversions, add any income, they'd be in the next bracket.
And not only that, but when we talk about tax rates, we're always thinking, and most people think in terms of what we call the marginal tax rate. How much is that last dollar taxed at? In their particular case, we're looking at taxation going above 30%. And my point to them was, well, if you only have to withdraw money at a 4% rate, which is really what the required minimum distribution rate is for your IRA at 73 or older, why you want to pull 30?
What'd they say?
I agree.
I love it when it works out like that.
Well,
Right.
what happens is, look, greed is good when it's about you.
Sure.
And so, paying Uncle Sam more taxes than may necessarily be required isn't patriotic. But as you were saying, honey, this was another decision that was really interlocked with not just the retirement plan decision, but also the Medicare Part B decision.
Right. You don't want to step into situations where, okay, you already made the decision, I'm going to bite the bullet and pay these taxes, in that example of the Roth conversion, not knowing that now 2 years down the road you have more to deal with because you have an increased Medicare Part B premium. So it is always nice and comforting to be able to see the road ahead of you as you are making those decisions. And I think that's part of where a coach comes in to help there.
And that, I think, leads right into the next point, that it isn't what you know, it's what you don't know that can hurt you. And that's the areas where a coach can provide some valuable insights to help make you more successful.
Absolutely. And, all of us aren't built the same. We're all if you're an investment advisor, you do have to go through certain licensing requirements with the SEC. Everyone does. We have to continue to do continuing education, but that doesn't really lead us to the advice side.
Right.
And, again, I would certainly say that if you're not having these types of conversations with your advisor, you could say why, and so unfortunately they may not be equipped to do it. Or really that isn't their thing. Maybe they're really an investment person and they're not really a planner. And that's okay.
Certainly everyone has skills.
It seems like not only should you be having those conversations with your advisor, it should be an ongoing conversation, because, your money in your life is like a bullet through time, and these rules are complex and they're changing. So as they change, what is true on Tuesday may not necessarily be true, 2 years from now on Tuesday. So we constantly have to keep abreast of the changes.
And I think that, Dad, your example earlier of our client considering the Roth conversion, maybe it did make sense for her friends in certain situations, but it's important to, you take the advice and then say, how do we apply it to our strategy doesn't make sense.
And even in that example, I mean, the 2-year Irma look back, I mean, that's, something that if you're not even aware that it's out there could come back to sting you very, very, very hard. Because you're just thinking at the one
taxes.
Right, you're just thinking on the front end, well, I'll pay these taxes and I'll just be done with it and that'll be the end of it. Well, no, actually it won't be the end of it. And but if you don't know that, you know what I mean? Like you're just in the dark, just feeling around for a light switch, and you stick your hand in a hornet's nest.
And it's as if you knew what our next comment would be, which is it's difficult to have an objective assessment when it comes to making choices about your own money. I think this is something that affects all of us, even as planners. It can affect us with our own money, which is you assign value or lack of value to debt. So this was the debt that paid for my daughter's wedding, or it paid for my grandchild's college education, or this was the unfortunate error. We didn't have enough in the savings, had to buy the hot water heater. Now it's on the credit card. We have sometimes we assign different values to these numbers when in reality they are just red numbers, and we have to figure out how do we either liquidate that debt in the most efficient way, or how do we make those numbers black again by paying for something in a different way, maybe not all at once, maybe over time. But the truth is that when you have an outside party reviewing your plan, I think it can give you a much more objective assessment on the best path forward.
How many times as adults, do you say to yourself, what was I thinking? I mean, realistically, I can say without any hesitation, reservations, that if I look back at the financial decisions I made 2, 3, 5 years ago, were they all spot on? Well, the answer is, yeah, I thought they were.
Well, hindsight's also 20/20, right?
Well, that's right. We don't know what really the future is, but having an objective eye that can maybe give you more information than you already have, knowing things that you aren't aware of. And at the end of the day, something that, your grandpa, my dad, used to stress to me is that the most valuable asset you have in your life is your time. And where can you best invest your time? Especially in retirement. Would it be you want to do it on things that you haven't done, or things or with people, or do you want to study this stuff? Having a coach can be efficient. It can also be effective. At the same time, what it also does is having a coaching relationship, in my opinion, creates accountability on both sides.
It also gives you and potentially your spouse or other family members the opportunity to have conversations about finance, which can be what was in the last newsletter about family dynamics being complex. Well, people's feelings and relations around money can also be complex. Being able to be in an environment where the goal is to get everyone where they want to go. It's not to redirect your objectives, especially when we're talking about retirement planning. Being able to plan for the retirement that you want to have, us helping you get there, or you having a coach to help you get there in the most efficient way, can not only breed confidence for yourself, but it can breed confidence amongst your spouse, with your other family members, that they feel like, hey, we're on the right track now. Or we always thought we were on the right track. Isn't it great that we truly are?
And when you think you're on the right track, it can never hurt to put a second set of eyes, like, hey, I was thinking X, but, is there anything that I'm not seeing in this picture? Like
a little confirmation. We all like that. As
I like to say, well, where am I wrong here? Like, this is what I believe. Where are the holes in my thinking?
Well, Barry, obviously you're in the, I would say you're in the zone. You're within 5 years of retirement. You're not retired at this point, which is okay as well. If you like, you can always call us for a coaching session. They're fun. They're free at our offices in Clayton.
They
used to be.
They used to be in Clayton.
We moved to all of that. Thank you. And where we have free parking,
coffee and snacks,
as far as it goes, and we'll be more than happy to take an hour with you and answer your questions, discuss possibly creating a retirement game plan for you if it makes sense for you. Or any other rest of our listeners, as we do for many folks during the week. So give us a call, 314-863-0008, or you can go to our website, which we love, financial.com, hit the click Contact Us section, send us a note, we'll be happy to call you for a coaching session if you're ready.
That's right. And we've got a couple of text messages that have come through. Let's hit those before we go to our first break of the hour.
And our first texter writes, I just turned 71 this past September. When do I have to start taking my required minimum distributions? You will have to do that the year you turn 73. Now, there's a little caveat. If it's your first time taking RMDs, you can push that off into the next year, but you have to take it by April 15th, and for that calendar year, you'll be taking 2. So,
awesome. So if you're turning 71 this year, that means you will be turning 73 2 years from now, which would make that 2026, correct?
yes.
So that means you either would take it in 2026, and the nice thing about required minimum distributions is you could take it January 1st or December 31st, the year you turn 73. You don't have to wait until you've reached 73 for those distributions from your IRAs to count. They'll count at any point during the year, unlike if you're waiting to get to 59 and a half to take your first distribution from an IRA account. You got to wait until you are actually 59 and a half. And then just like Rob said, if in 2026, for whatever reason, you want to defer your first required minimum distribution, you can push to 2027. You'll have to take the dollar amount of 2026's requirement before April 15th, and then the new amount, because each year your required minimum distribution is recalculated. So you'll have to take 2027's in 2027 as well.
And they calculate your RMD by looking at the account value on December 31st of the previous year.
And applying it to your age.
Exactly.
Perfect.
You know, and I'm thinking that our texter didn't say this, and it's possible, is if you're already taking distributions, as an example, for monthly income purposes, as you may be because you're 71 years old at this particular moment, what would happen is that at your age 73, we will apply those distributions you're already taking to satisfy the required minimum. Required minimum isn't a separate
requirement
of a distribution, but actually we can count against the other. And so
like if we use an example, let's say that your required minimum distribution for the year was $40,000. You've got about $1 million plus in your IRA account as of December 31st of a given year. If you're already taking $2,000 a month, and the gross number counts here, even though, you know, if you're taking $2,000 and having taxes withheld, only seeing $1,500 a month, the full $2,000 that came out of your IRA is counted. So you already have met $24,000 of that $40,000 requirement. You will just have to make up that $16,000 difference at some point throughout the year. You can either increase your monthly distributions or say I want to take it at a certain point because of property taxes or Christmas time or a family vacation. And then in addition to that, the one thing to consider would be you can also, because now you've reached over 70 and a half, if you have already been charitable in the past, you can make direct distributions. They call them qualified charitable distributions from your IRA account to a charity. Those will count against your required minimum distribution total, but you don't pay taxes on those specific distributions. So in the same example, we already know $24,000 is covered by your normal income needs. If you donate $1,000 to a church every year, you are at $25,000, but only taxed at $24,000, and then we still have $15,000 left to go as to how you'd like to distribute those dollars.
Very good. So it is. You do have lots of options out there when it comes to these distributions.
Well, the texts keep rolling in. I think we should take a break and then come back to it. What do you guys think?
Why not? So don't touch that dial. We'll be back with more Straight Talk on Retirement after these messages.
Well, welcome back to the show. It's 9:38 here on the Big 550 KTRS.
Things are heating up.
Woo-hoo.
Heating up.
I love that.
And it looks like we have our first phone call. Good morning, Janice.
I have a question about Medicare Part B.
Great.
I didn't know you're talking about RMDs, but anyway, I am a retired federal employee. I've been retired for 10 years. When I retired, I had Federal Blue Cross Blue Shield, so I have Medicare Part A, but at the time didn't want to take Part B.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been talking. I've gotten two different. They told me then that if you don't take it then you pay 10% penalty for every year you don't have it.
Yes.
When you do get it. And someone told me that they've done away with that. Two people have. And then two people have said no, it's by agency. And
so
that I would still pay the 10% penalty for each year if I wanted to do it now. And so I figured you guys would know.
You know what? You did get the correct answer. You just got a bunch of answers. The correct answer is yes, that it is based by agency at this point. So you're going to want to just double check with your federal benefits department, because I believe that they have just carved out for federal postal employees that they've waived the Medicare Part B requirement. So later on down the line, you could enroll in Part B and not have the 10% per year penalty assessed against you, but everyone else is not part of that carve out yet. So I would just double check on that one.
Very good.
Okay.
Good question. Thank you.
Awesome. Let's get back to those texts.
We got a bunch of them, and our next texter writes, when taking a required minimum distribution, is it best to take it all at once or spread it out throughout the year? Thanks. I don't know that there's a preferred way or a best way. As long as it comes out is the
well, that's
is the
priority
executive,
number one.
Is the executive takeaway. Now, whether you have, say you have to take out $12,000, we'll just use that as a nice round number, you can have it sent to you monthly. We certainly can set that up. Or if you wanted to match a certain, like say you have to pay your property taxes at a certain point, we could have it scheduled for then. It's really entirely up to you. But I think the executive takeaway is that you have a plan to get that RMD out, and then you actually execute it, because you don't want to, wake up on, the last week of December and be like, oh my God, I forgot my RMD.
I think that's a great point. I would also say, if we're using the same example of a $12,000 required minimum distribution, the increase to wait, the potential of, market gains over the course of the year, to wait until, December 15th or something to take your required minimum distribution, I think over the course of your investing time is not going to be substantial enough to change any pattern that you already have. Now, if you're someone that has not been living off of distributions from your retirement accounts and you don't need the extra income, you may say, hey, let's wait, or you get to make this decision every year. If the market's going well and you say, let's just leave it in there, you can leave it in. If you need the money to live off of, you're not going to leave it in. Or if the market's not going as well, you may say, hey, let's pull it early.
I was going to say, this is a very important discussion that we have with all of our clients, and actually the ones that are
every single one of them.
Right, the ones that are RMD eligible are sort of the first ones up. That we like to do these in January and February to say, what is the pattern that you have? Do we want to continue on it? Do we need to make changes? We're also talking to them very often about charitable contributions. Are there charities that they would like to send money to this year? Let us do it instead of them. And therefore we can, again, dollar for dollar, reduce the taxable amount of those distributions. But you get into a rhythm. And
right.
For some folks, again, like our original texter, if you're getting a certain amount out today and we have extra that we need to send you because the RMD is greater than what you're pulling.
Which usually doesn't happen the first few years
right.
that you've reached required minimum distribution age. We're finding that most people are already pulling the vast majority of people are pulling close to 4%. So the numbers are very close those first few
right.
years.
And then also, as Rob was saying, we like to say, okay, maybe your home's paid off, but you still owe real estate taxes in November, December.
Let's match that.
Now you don't have to worry about setting money aside. We know that they're coming. Or maybe what we're doing is pre-funding their vacation fund
mm-hmm.
for the next year, or Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever it might be.
It
Absolutely.
Literally is fleur-de-lis, whatever you desire. No, I mean,
of
really,
course.
we can do it monthly. We can match it to an obligation. We can fill up an emergency bucket. It's really entirely up to you. But again, the executive takeaway is that you get that money out so you don't have to face a penalty. And our next texter writes, if over 73, do you have to take mandatory distributions from both your 401k and other personal investment accounts?
Maybe.
IRA, definitely.
IRA for certain.
Roth, never.
Never Roth. 401k is the maybe. If you are a current plan participant in the 401k and you are not an owner, not of your own plan because you own your own portion of the 401k, but you're not an owner of the business, then generally the answer is no. You'll want to call the 401k, the plan sponsor that your company is working with to verify this. But if you are no longer...
Also, but you're an active participant.
Right, you need to be an active participant. If you are no longer an active participant, meaning you're retired, but you haven't moved your 401k and you have other IRA assets, this is the one instance in which the government does care where the money comes from. If you have money in a 401k and you are no longer an active participant, you have to take the required minimum distribution from the 401k, the dollar amount reflected for that particular account. Then for all of your other personal IRA accounts or individual retirement accounts that are not Roth, you can add those together and take the aggregate from one account, or you can take it proportionally from each. But the 401k does stand on its own if you're no longer an active participant or you're an owner of the company. Then in most cases you are still required, even if you are an active participant.
I was going to say, in regard to the, we'll call it dormant 401k, one that you're no longer a participant in. The plan, and we've seen this with clients, the plan will have a specific time where they're going to say, we're sending you the money.
Right, they're going to force it to you.
Right, you may not actually have the opportunity to say, hey, wait until December and send it to me. They're sending it out on the 2nd of January because they've already made the calculation, and we've had some situations in the past where we've had to deal, we were sending people money and we had to work backwards to not over-withdraw for the RMD.
And when the 401k company, or at any point the 401k plan, not just if they force the funds out to you, but if you take a distribution from your 401k, they're required to withhold 20%. So if you are not someone that happens to be in the 20% tax bracket, now you're paying a little bit extra in taxes on the front end, and which is generally why if you're not an active participant any longer in a 401k, we usually recommend, barring certain circumstances, that you should roll it into a traditional IRA because it's going to give you more flexibility, not just in your investments, but also in your distribution patterns, in your tax withholdings, and in your decisions on things like surrounding your required minimum distributions. Where do I want to take it from? Where have I already been taking it? And it'll give you an easier total.
I think what's important here, and folks may not realize this, is that if you're working with an independent investment advisor, firm such as us, there is literally nothing that we can't purchase for you in terms of mutual
publicly
funds,
traded,
etc., right, that you wouldn't have available to you in your 401k plan. So there's no brand loyalty here with us.
Certainly.
Whether it's, and we were not permitted to name the companies, but no matter what fund company you have in your plan, we can duplicate it. So you can always if you want to, duplicate the configuration that you have.
And if you are someone that's managing on your own, you can always move your 401k to a traditional IRA with a company that allows you to make the choices on your own. And you would also have access, if it was independent in the sense it will hold more than one fund company, you could do that duplication process on your own as well. So it's going to give you some more flexibility outside of your investment modeling that 401k plans don't have.
Good question.
Yes.
And our next texter writes, say you don't need your RMD to live on. Is it possible to take that amount and fund a Roth IRA with it? I just got this question the other day, and
just Friday,
right?
Yes.
And I love.
It's a great idea.
I love that our clients are thinking along these lines because it's just I really love when they just are trying to juke the stats, trying to game the system. But unfortunately,
they figured that one out.
The IRS, they're pretty smart too, and they've thought about these things. So unfortunately, that's not going to be doable.
Or a Roth conversion.
Correct. So what would happen is if you are someone that is engaged in Roth conversions and you are also 73 taking those required minimum distributions every year, or you have a beneficiary IRA that you are taking distributions from, the IRS says you can still do your Roth conversion, but you have to take the full required minimum distribution, be it whatever your requirement is from your own IRA accounts or from a beneficiary IRA. You have to take that amount first. Then anything above and beyond that can be converted into a Roth, so if that is what you're doing. So essentially, the government says you have to pay us first, and we get our full 4%, and then if you would like to convert anything above and beyond that, you are free to do so, but it's coming out above the 4%. It's not, you don't get to replace the 4%, or whatever your required minimum distribution happens to be.
The conversion. Perversion.
It just gets more difficult every single year, unfortunately, because like we talked about at the beginning of the show, not only are you competing with income tax brackets, you are also, as you approach 65, competing with Medicare Part B premiums.
There are many things working against you, and the overarching, what I would put above that, you're paying taxes on money that you're not actively consuming. So right there, like full stop. But,
Well, and also, Rob, we do know that when folks do these types of conversions, for them to really truly convert the entire amount, they need to
pay the taxes from somewhere else.
That's right. They've got to pull the cash out to reimburse the plan for the taxes.
Yeah, when we run the equations, it's what stood out to me was, in addition to the taxes that you lose right off the top, you lose all the associated growth with that. So if, using $100,000, like say you $30,000 in taxes, what is the $30,000 that you paid in taxes? What would that have grown to if left undisturbed for, say, a 5 or 10 year period? Probably a lot more.
And when you run the math, the growth is always better than having less taxes later.
It's just such a huge haircut on the front end that I don't know how anyone gets psyop into it, to be honest. Like the law of big numbers just come at you and you're like, I don't think I want to do this.
Well, look, the concept of having tax-free funds is a shiny bauble, okay?
Right, because you never got that before, ever.
Right. But I think one thing that most folks don't realize is that the amount that you have to pull for requirement distributions is only 4%.
Right.
It's made out to be this big number, or it's like, you have to take this money. Well, it's not that much. I mean, let's be honest. It's just not that much.
And as we are moving into what we're younger generations now retiring, as, baby boomers are getting close to being retired and we're moving into Gen X or starting to retire, the access to pension is so vastly reduced. Even having worked with you, Dad, over the last 13 years, when I first started, we saw a ton of people with pensions. In fact, almost everyone that came in had a pension in one form or another. Now, I would say that number is down to probably 20%, and I would bet that is high across the country just because of the types of companies that we have here in St. Louis. So if you don't have that pension backing you up with Social Security as well, the required minimum distributions for you are probably going to be what you're already taking because you need additional income to make your life work. And also you're going to have quite a bit of room in your tax bracket, especially where they are now. That first $89,000 is at the 12% level. And unlike other triggers in the IRS tax code, you get to move through the brackets and keep the original bracket that you were in, meaning once you pass $89,000, the first $89,000 is still taxed at 12%. $89,001 is now taxed at 15% when you move into the next bracket, but the first $89,000 you still get 12%. So it's progressive regardless of where you fall in at your marginal rate, which means most people are paying less in taxes in retirement than they are while they're working. So the impact of required minimum distribution is far less than massive Roth conversions at the beginning of your retirement.
Absolutely. And I think what we need to do is take our second break of the hour. We'll be back to answer your questions as well as hour number 2 on Straight Talk on Retirement. So do us a favor. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back after these messages. Well, we're back for our last couple of minutes of hour number 1 of Straight Talk on Retirement. Again, our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear your voices. 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the Heat and Up text line. We know next hour is going to be
next hour is
Medicare
Power Hour
of Medicare.
Because you care, we talk Medicare. And with
That's
that in mind, our last texter writes, for the Medicare Hour, United Healthcare just sent out new cards for 2025. Will any money transfer over from 2024 to 2025, or do we have to spend our rewards or lose them?
Use them or lose them, guys. You
Nothing
got 2 months left.
Carries over. And, we...
Except the bills if you haven't paid them.
Yeah, that carries over.
I called Walgreens to make sure they weren't out of Advil, so I'm going to be stocking up,
so you can stock up on your last $120 for the quarter.
Amen.
Frank spent a good amount of time on this last week, and you just want to make sure, or the week before last, that you're getting all your rewards done by the time the calendar year ends, because they don't cross over. You're entitled to them. If you don't take it's a use it or lose it. If you don't use it, you're going to lose it. And,
Right.
There's been some very generous fitness allowances that are going to be amended going into next year. So
You mean bye-bye?
For some, bye-bye.
Right. And, well, they've definitely scaled back from what they were. Very generous dental benefits. If you still have any room left to take advantage, now would be the time to think about it.
And so the important thing, like Rob is saying, is that you use the service this year. But if you don't, let's say you go to the dentist in a week or two and it comes right up against Thanksgiving, we know that once the holidays come, this is not what your primary focus is, and that's okay. Because in 2025, you can still submit for your reimbursements in 2025 as long as the bill and your receipt reflect a date in 2024. So you don't lose it if you use it in 2024, but you can still submit for 25, but you will lose it if you don't use it.
Right. You just want to save your paperwork and make sure that paperwork reflects that you were in the proper calendar year to take advantage of the benefit, and you'll get what you're entitled to. But again, you want to make sure you're using these benefits before they run out, and they do come with an expiration date. And our follow-up to that are rumors in our gym are saying that United Healthcare is going to drop Lifetime Fitness in 2025.
I have not heard that rumor. I done a little. It was a nice benefit they added to have Lifetime included. I do know there's restrictions around Lifetime memberships. I also know there's a waiting list. So I could see how both of those facts would create a little bit of a rumor of maybe that it's going away. I've seen pamphlets. I've also seen information that shows that, it's still available in 2025. So that could change because we've seen these benefits change in the past. But right now, I don't see anything in writing that is, in fact, the case.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything that would lead me to believe that they won't be part of the Silver Seekers network. But, these rumors, who knows how they get started?
Who knows?
Well, you can get started with a coaching session with us. It's easy. Give us a call, 314-863-0008. If you're within 5 years of retirement, you're already retired, or you're getting ready and you're involved in the Medicare open enrollment session, we'd love to talk to you. Again, 314-863-0008. Or if you like, go to our website, jblfinancial.com. See you next hour.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to Straight Talk on Retirement. We are in hour number 2. So for all of our regular listeners, you know what that means. It's smart choices about your health care.
Because you care. We talk Medicare.
And we've got,
I like that.
Right? And we've got Frankie in the house this morning.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, Frank.
Morning. And before we kick off our conversation for this morning, Frank wants to go back. We've got the expert in the house, so he wants to add a little bit more clarity to the last question regarding using your benefits in 2024.
Yeah. Good morning, folks. So, on my way here to the radio show, since I'm a 90-year-old man and don't listen to music to get pumped up in the mornings, I listen to the radio. That's right.
We're going to have to work on your workout routine, Holmes.
Yeah, we do. So whenever I heard that question, I just wanted to verify to folks out there with the United plan, the rewards versus the benefits of your plan. So your plan does have all of these benefits that we love to talk about and share with folks. That's your dental, your vision, your hearing, your gym membership. But then separately, you have a rewards program through United Healthcare as well. That's where you can have someone come to your house and you can earn money through a Visa credit card that they just basically put on your phone and you can scan at the store.
So this is when you can earn actual cash that can be used anywhere. It's not a defined benefit of the plan.
That is correct. So you can carry that into next year. So if you've earned those rewards, and I think there's up to like $155 in real cash that you can, in the form of course, the Visa card that you can earn for this year. So if you have earned that $155, you can carry that into next year.
So once they credit you the cash, it's always yours.
That's right. Now, I'm sure the Visa itself has an expiration date, but it's probably not for, 2024 or 2026, 2027, just like your regular Visa cards.
And I'm sure this question will be in people's minds, which is if they were on the United Healthcare plan this year, and they decide to make a change and they're no longer with United, will they still have access to their Visa card, or do they need the member number?
I would personally call the insurance company, and because if you're not going to have United Healthcare, you're probably not going to have access to the actual app.
Okay.
So I would call United Healthcare and verify or get a physical card sent to your address. That way you can still use that money that you've earned.
Or take
through
your
doctors coming to visit your
spouse out,
house.
right? Or take your spouse out to dinner and just get rid of it before the end of the year.
That'd be nice too. There you go. End of the year dinner on United.
Something like that. Okay, so probably do want to just if you've already seen Frank and you decided that you were going to make a change from United this year, you have some cash on that card, you might want to call and verify with them that you can get a physical card mailed to you, just so you don't. The dollars are still yours. You don't want to miss out on them because you can't access them.
That's right. Now, the actual benefits themselves, you guys are absolutely right. You need to use those before the end of the year because those are not going to roll over for you. They will start over for you, and you'll get the full benefits of the new year plan, but they will not roll over. So use them while you can, especially since we know that some of these benefits now are going to be going down a little bit in the amounts that they offer.
Got ya.
So,
all right.
So very good. So this morning, I just want to get into Julie and Mark's situation.
Before we get to Julie and Mark, our texters want to know, does United Healthcare still give rewards for the steps on a monthly basis?
I'm not specifically sure about the steps. I want to say yes, they do, because there's about 5 different categories that you can do to earn rewards and build up that $155. Mm-hmm. So that is probably a part of it. I know that you can send someone to your house and they can do like a physical and you can earn money that way. You can earn money from going to the gym. So I want to say yes, steps would be included in that.
Awesome. Just verify that. And then also you'll want to verify for the upcoming year what your new options are for earning your dollars. So that way, if there's something else you want to try or something new they've added, you'll be up to date on all of that. And so it sounds like for a lot of people, they are already receiving their 2025 cards in the mail.
Yeah.
If you haven't made your decision about if you're staying or not, they haven't locked you in. Don't worry. You still have until December 7th to make a decision and a change if you would like. It just sounds like United's front-running a little bit, sending the stuff, assuming the sale, if you will, sending the cards out in advance. But if you make a change, that card just won't be valid.
That's right. And I love to see folks ask about the rewards. I mean, oftentimes we spend a lot of time talking about the actual, healthcare benefits of the plan. How can the plan save you money and things like that? But the rewards is a separate part of that. So keep using those. Keep taking advantage of those because you guys have earned it. And they are yours. So,
is that unique to United Healthcare? The rewards for the activities for dollars?
It is not.
Okay.
I know Aetna has a rewards program as well. Same sort of situation. Send someone to the house to do a physical, you earn money. Go to the gym, you earn money. Maybe take a few extra steps throughout the day, and they let them track you. You earn money. So all the insurance companies, they do have some sort of rewards. That's something that is not going to be, right in front of your face when you're looking at your annual notice of change or your summary of benefits that they sent you. So I always just suggest for folks to download the company's app and then you can get all of the information on the rewards program.
And the app is great, and also the online access, especially with like Aetna and United, it's going to help you track other things, not just your rewards. It'll help you track what you've spent so far, prescriptions, things like that as well, right?
That is correct. It's a great tool just to help, keep you organized and stay on top of things. If you have a claim, if you want to track those claims and see the status of those claims, it's a great tool to have.
Awesome. Now let's talk about, this is I want to lead into this just a little bit. This is one of my favorite topics because when the PPO plans are newer to Medicare Advantage, probably the last 5 or 6 years, they really became popular. So the first battle you always fought with people was the HMO battle. And now we have lots of different opportunities for different types of plans and that is what I think one of the great benefits of Medicare and Medicare Advantage is. You really get to choose a plan that is going to work with how you consume your health care. But I just really like this topic, Julie and Mark, so give us a little bit about what you talked about with them this week.
Very good. So Julie and Mark, they've been on Medicare for several years now with us. So ever since they really started their plan, they've always had that PPO plan, and more specifically, the one that was called Walgreens, AARP Walgreens United Healthcare Plan, that is getting changed to ST2. So folks out there on that plan, when you get a new card in the mail, that U card, and it says ST2, don't think that United switched your plan or you got put in a different plan. It is still the same plan. They just dropped the Walgreens name.
I love how they just went to ST2. It sounds like a new planet they've discovered.
Doesn't
we haven't come up with a name. It's ST2.
Doesn't it? Planet X right next to ST2.
Right.
That's right.
And the reason they removed Walgreens, not to destroy the joke, is just because they have removed that preferred pharmacy model, and now it's just an in-network pharmacy, which means you don't have to only go to Walgreens if you're on the ST2 PPO moving forward.
That's right, and
Cool.
that stands true for all of the United plans, the PPOs and those HMO plans.
Cool.
So with their plan, Mark, he's barely had to use his plan. He goes to physical therapy every now and then, maybe goes and sees his primary and a couple of specialists throughout the year just to keep things going. But Mark so far has needed very little health needs for the years.
Cool.
Julie, on the other hand, she actually hits her max out of pocket every year, so she requires a lot more intensive medical needs.
Okay.
So one thing that we know about the HMOs versus the PPOs is that with the HMOs, you have in-network access only. Okay, so that means doctor or hospital has to accept the plan, and you can use that plan.
And because we happen to be talking about United right now, with United's HMOs, that's not limiting you to in-network physicians in Missouri or Illinois. That would actually give you access to their national in-network of physicians.
That is correct. So you have a national network with the HMO plan, meaning that doctors in Florida, doctors in Arizona, doctors in Wyoming, as long as that doctor or hospital accepts any Medicare Advantage plan through United Healthcare HMO, you have access to all of those doctors.
Very cool. Okay.
So Julie, with her extensive healthcare needs, hits her max out of pocket, and her max out of pocket over the years have been about $3,700 for in-network for 2023, $3,800 for 2024 for in-network, and going into next year, needing the exact same health care coverage, we know she would hit that max out of pocket of $4,100 in network. So one thing that a lot of folks are adamant about are keeping their doctors, rightfully
Certainly.
so. You don't want to lose those doctors. So when Julie and Mark came on to Medicare, they had the idea of, hey, we want a plan where you don't have to have a referral or ask for permission to go see a certain doctor. And we want a plan that, if we're, traveling somewhere, we need to see some doctor, we can do so with no questions asked.
Okay.
So they decided to join that PPO plan. Now that the cost of those PPO plans have continued to go up over the years, Julie and Mark were looking for some more options, and they came to the office, of course, this open enrollment, seeing if we could do any better on their max out of pocket, since we know that she's going to hit that. And $4,100 is not cheap.
No.
For the year, not for medical needs. So that's exactly what we sat down to do. We sat down to look at the plans to see if there were any other options for Julie and Mark and see if we could save them money, knowing that she is going to hit that max out of pocket on her health care needs. So one thing about the PPO plans, okay, is that they do have higher max out of pockets, okay? So we know that you're not paying anything monthly for these plans. These are $0 premium plans that include everything. Your health coverage, your Part D prescription drug plan, dental, vision, hearing, gym memberships, all sorts of stuff. And you're not paying for anything. But what you are doing is you're making copays up until you're max out of pocket. So PPOs, generally, you're going to be looking at around, and especially next year since everything is going up, you're going to be looking at about an average of about $5,000 on a max out of pocket. Now, I said $4,100 for United Healthcare. And the reason being is because with these PPO plans, you have an in-network max out of pocket, and you have to have a separate, by Medicare, this is their rule, you have to have a separate max out of pocket for your out-of-network. So if we combine both in and out-of-network, average max out of pocket is going to be about $5,000.
Okay.
To whereas an HMO, your average is going to be a little bit more like $3,000. Okay. So one thing I always ask my clients is, especially on those PPO plans, how often have you gone out of network to see a doctor? And you know the response that I get 9 times out of 10 on that question.
Never.
Never do. They always say, I make sure that when I go see a doctor that they're in network. I want to keep my cost as low as possible. So I see all Mercy doctors or I see all BJC doctors. And while that's great, you're still kind of doing yourself an injustice, if you say, because you are in a plan with a much higher liability at the end of the day. And you're doing the same thing on your PPO plan that the HMO plan already requires for you to see in-network doctors. That's right. See in-network doctors at a much lower price, though.
So you're basically, you want to be in the lowest cost environment, but you have a plan that is actually bumping you into a higher cost environment because of options that you're really not availing yourself of, i.e. going to see doctors outside of the network.
That is absolutely well said, Rob. Very well said. That's exactly right.
I hope my dad is Dad, are you listening? We don't go out in network. We don't need a PPO. Okay, now that I got that off.
That's
please
right.
Continue.
Okay, so Julie's already functioning like she's in an HMO, but she's paying the higher price of the PPO.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. So one thing that I do, of course, is whenever I'm sitting down with folks, we look at doctors and we check the doctors to see if they're going to be in network for plans that make sense for people to be on. And for Julie, the Aetna Gold, I know we spend a lot of time on this, but the Aetna Gold was one plan that absolutely made sense for Julie. She's not on any sort of brand name medications. She just has a lot of complications and gets a steroid injection and another monthly infusion injection, which causes her to hit those max out of pockets.
And because you are doing those things in the doctor's office, because we all know steroids can be taken at home, these in fact are not, so they are part of the medical side of your coverage versus the prescription side.
That is right. That is absolutely correct.
And I bet that I am thinking of a question that all of the listeners out there that are on the PPO are thinking, which is, well, if Julie switches to the HMO now, she's going to need referrals.
That's right. That's right. And that's a huge question. And a lot of folks, they do not like referrals. Now, for going on year number 4, the Aetna plans and the United plans do not require referrals. Well, Aetna going on year 4, United on year 3.
Okay.
Because Aetna was the one that started that. I believe during COVID they had started that, and they've just kept that rolling. So you can go see any doctor on an HMO as long as they are in network.
And you don't have to get a referral.
That is correct. No referral required on that specific plan.
And if you happen to be a person, Essence is still requiring referrals. Is that correct?
That is correct. They still
on
do
their
require
HMO.
referrals on their HMOs only.
And I would say that one time the referral system was described to me not as asking for permission, but more just as an FYI. So it's like, hey, my primary care doctor. I'm going to see my cardiologist. Not only please make this referral for me so I meet the insurance company's requirements, but then that specialist, so the cardiologist in this example, will send my medical records back to you. Mm-hmm. So then that way the primary care doctor does get to not only review the tests results and other issues that you have in their office, they actually get to see what other physicians are seeing at a more targeted level. They did EKG, the primary is going to get to see that, so they get a more comprehensive understanding of your care. That still happens even if you don't have to ask for the referral with United and Aetna. It's just in a system that was less well orchestrated. They needed that connection in the past.
Mm-hmm. And I'll share this also because Aetna, they did change their plan from a traditional HMO to now an HMO POS. So what that means for folks out there is that you have some very limited out-of-network access.
Got you.
So POS, that's just a point of service, which just means, again, you have access to out-of-network doctors. You'd need to call your plan to verify exactly which out-of-network you can go with. But that's just another layer of protection on these HMO plans.
Got you.
So I like to call it forefronts of protection with these plans. So the first two, every Medicare Advantage plan has built in universally, okay? And that's going to be your emergency care and urgent care, built in nationwide to every Medicare Advantage plan there is. The third layer of protection is on the HMO plans is that national network that we discussed. You can go see any HMO doctor in the country as long as they accept an HMO Medicare Advantage plan through, for instance, United Healthcare or Aetna. You're a part of that national network.
And Anthem has the national network as well, correct?
That is correct. Anthem still does have that national network also.
Okay. Essence essentially is one that doesn't. And that's because they're a regional company. It's not because they're limiting your options.
That's right.
They're just not a national network yet.
That's right. That's right. They are expanding. They did expand, I believe, to the Chicago market this year. So they are moving in the right direction. But as of now, and you will have that access to the Chicago doctors under the Essence plan, but as of now, it's just not a national program.
Understood. Okay, cool.
And then the fourth layer of protection, of course, I go back to the Aetna plan changing to a POS, an HMO POS, meaning you can use certain out-of-network doctors. So you have four layers of protection under these HMO plans that you didn't have in the past before.
Right.
So these plans are continuing to get better and better. And specifically for Julie, because at the end of the day, this is a healthcare plan that we are talking about.
Right.
And we're talking about cost with the healthcare plan. So specifically for Julie, the Aetna Gold is going to be a terrific plan for her.
It's going to save her almost $1,600 a year, right?
That's right. So she's going to go from a max out of pocket of $4,100 to $2,500 for next year.
And this is math that we can very easily do because you already know the last 2 years Julie hit her maximum out of pocket. The likelihood she is hitting it again because she's not changing anything is nearly 100%. Mm-hmm. So if we know that you are going to hit your maximum out of pocket, and then we can back up with saying all your physicians are in network, you can still use the plan the same way you functionally have been using the plan in the past, meaning Julie doesn't have to ask for referrals moving forward, that it makes sense to say, let's take the lower maximum out of pocket. We can automatically save you money. You don't have to change a thing. You just have, I think Aetna is like purple and United is blue.
That's
so
right.
The cards are just different colors, and that's it.
That's it. Doctors, if they are in network, and like I said at the beginning of the hour, she was already using her PPO plan like an HMO plan, because if you use the PPO plan out of network, it does have a higher cost than if you were to use your plan in network.
So she's already like, I don't want to pay the extra money to go out in network, but you are, because the in-network max is higher specifically to give you the access to the out-of-network, which is even higher.
That's right. Absolutely. So Julie, she decided to do the HMO plan for next year and give it a try, although they were very adamant in the past few years about never trying an HMO plan. But because the benefits have gotten so much better on these plans with lower max out-of-pockets and just large networks of doctors.
No referrals.
She's going to love that plan.
Well, that's cool
because it's going to save her $1,600.
And I think that's just so valuable because, one, you can save her $1,600, but two, again, truly nothing changes for her. Mm-hmm. So you're just enhancing something without really having to give anything up in this particular instance. And so if you're someone that in the past, just like Julie and Mark, had specific ideas about Medicare Advantage plans or specific thoughts about those HMO plans, it might be a benefit to you to have a conversation with someone like Frank because he can tell you what's changed over time. Now, maybe you still have hang-ups or reasons why the HMO is not going to work for you, but in many cases, a lot of the issues that came along with HMOs no longer exist.
That's right. The referrals, the networks being limited. Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's perfect. Well, you know what? Before we wrap up, Julie and Mark, let's get on the phone with our first caller, Al. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing?
Just
doing
great.
Well, Al.
Good. My question is a Medicare question. I'll be turning 65 next April, and I was offered a plan through my union. I guess it's what you'd call an Advantage. They want $310 a month for that, then another $175 for Part A that I have to pay Medicare. So you're looking at about $485 a month. Now, there's a couple different people I talk to that are on Medicare, and they say they're not paying anything. And I'm trying to figure out, this is a United Healthcare I was offered. Anyway, I'm trying to figure out, why would I want to pay $485 a month if I can get something for nothing? I never heard of get it for zero.
Yeah. So appreciate the question. The first part of that is, once you get on Medicare Part B, you'll have that premium. That premium for standard is going to be $174.70 that they just take right out of your Social Security each month.
And that's
everybody pays that. It doesn't matter what the TV says or what flyer came in everybody pays their Part B premium.
I think the reason why people say they pay nothing, Al, is because, like Frank just mentioned, a lot of times they're pulling it right out of Social Security. It happens automatically. But what they are referring to is maybe a zero premium plan, so nothing above and beyond the Medicare Part B.
That's right. So you're paying the $174.70 once you get on Medicare Part B. And then folks that are, when they're saying they're not paying anything, they're on a Medicare Advantage plan. And those do have $0 monthly cost. You do still pay when you go to the doctor or the hospital, so it's not like you're getting total free health care. You make co-pays to go see your specialist or to get lab done or to have an operation. But the plan itself, for instance, if you were to take a Medicare Advantage plan with United Healthcare, you would not be writing a check to United Healthcare each month to have that plan, and you would get all of the benefits that the healthcare plan has to offer, like dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drug coverage. Silver sneakers, everything.
Everything.
Okay, because, this one's got real low, like $5 copays for a specialist and stuff like that. But my deal is, I'm trying to decide, do I want to pay that kind of $310 a month to get this, or is there something better out there?
Yeah, and we can weigh those options. So we can get you set up on our schedule, and I can meet with you one-on-one, and we can look at your plan with the union versus the Medicare Advantage plan, put them side by side, and look at the numbers and see what the numbers say.
Thanks.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks for calling in, Alan. If you want to get in contact with Frank, you just give us a call, 314-863-0008. I love working with individuals that are union and former union members because you just have more options. So what Frank can do is not only can he compare what he can offer you privately, but he can compare that to what you are offered through the union, and you get to make the decision as to what the best fit is. And then you can decide, hey, either I want to pay that extra to get these enhanced benefits potentially, or these plans look very similar. I think I'd like to have the zero premium option. We've seen that happen over time. For example, with Special School District in Missouri, Aetna, we mentioned the Gold Advantage, but that's because it's so popular. Special School District was offering the Aetna Gold Advantage plan to its retired teachers, but charging a premium for it, whereas Frank could offer it, or you could literally go to Aetna privately, but Frank's here to help you with all those, nuances of the plans. Get it for no cost.
That's right.
In addition to your Medicare Part B premium, of course.
That's right. I work with people, and they bring me, stuff that they're offered through retirement, stuff that they're offered through the union, through the Teachers Association. And we sit down and we just compare cost. Oftentimes, Medicare will be a little bit better, but there have been times, if your plan is truly better, there have been times where I've said, no, you need to stick with that plan, and if they ever kick you off of it, come and see me.
Right, and don't listen to anyone else that tries to pull you off your plan.
That's right.
You got good stuff. Don't give it up. Let's go to Nancy on line 2. Good morning, Nancy. You have a Medicare question?
Oh, good morning.
Good morning.
You got a Medicare question for us, Nancy?
Oh, I do. Absolutely.
Great.
I'm in the process of choosing an Advantage plan, and I've had Essence for years, and I'm planning on staying with them. And one of the PPOs that's being offered for 2025 offers a flex card that's loaded with $3,500 to use to pay for dental, vision, hearing, and medical services.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't include any routine dental or preventative services like 2 cleanings a year, and I will have to use that flex card that has the $3,500 to start right off paying for even the cleanings twice a year. My dentist offers their own dental insurance plan that includes 2 cleanings and 20% off all dental services, and I'm wondering if I could use if I go with that PPO with Essence, if I could use that flex card that has the $3,500 loaded on it that can use for dental services, could I use that to pay for their dental plan is $400. Could I buy that $400 plan for my dentist using that $3,500, which is going to give me my 2 free cleanings and 20% off of everything? But I'm wondering if I could use that Essence Flex card to use to pay for that dental plan that my dentist offers.
Nancy, this is a genius idea. I really like this idea. I just don't think it's going to work. The only reason is because I'm relatively sure that the Essence plan is going to require that it be a service that you're using at the dentist's office, because when the dentist bills you, it's going to reflect that you purchased a plan, and I'm pretty sure that Essence is not going to consider that a covered service. So although I really appreciate and think it was a really great idea, I don't want to see you end up with more expense. Now, I thought the direction you were going to go with this question was, can you double dip? Like, can you buy the $400 dental plan that's going to give you the cleanings, but then also use your other benefits? And the answer to that one is yes.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Right. I kind of considered that, but then I thought, boy, if I could use that card, that would be a really good bonus. They had last year of $7,000, and now it's really everything back.
If you were going to buy the dental plan anyway, then I would say try it out. Then that's only if you were going to buy it anyway, because I don't want you to be out the $400. You see what I'm saying? If you're going to buy it anyway, go for it. They can only say no to you. If you get it through, we're going to cheer you on. But
that's right.
Well, I read in that evidence of coverage, that they, put in there, and one of the things said the card couldn't be used to pay premium plans. And then I was thinking, I circled that, and I thought, uh-oh. And I thought, well, maybe they meant just to pay for the Essence premium,
Nancy, were you a lawyer in your past life?
No, I'm just retired and have lots of time, and I enjoy researching things.
Very good, very good. The plan
thank you.
And the plan that Nancy is referring to is the Essence Choice Plus PPO. That's got a monthly premium of $44. So that would be a premium Medicare Advantage plan, but that does come with $3,500 that you can spend for dental, vision, hearing, and also medical copays.
Perfect. And that leads us to one of our text questions, which was, I recently learned Advantage plan premiums can be paid directly out of your Social Security retirement. Is this new, and can you modify it at any time?
So it's not new. You can pay the Medicare Advantage plans. You can pay the Part D. So if you're on a Medicare supplement and you have a standalone Part D, those premiums can come directly out of your Social Security. But if you have a Plan G, so like a supplemental plan, that cannot come out of your Social Security. You have to write a check to the insurance company for those.
And you can change your mode of payment annually. You can't do it throughout the year. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So, like, if you are on that Choice Plus with Essence, you're paying the $44 a month. On the application itself, it allows you to make an election.
That's
of
right.
How you're going to pay. If you choose Social Security, it has to be that way the whole year.
That is correct.
But at the next open enrollment, you can call and say, I want to keep the same plan, but I want to change my payment.
That's right, your form of payment. Mm-hmm.
But you got to keep it consistent through the whole year, so you can modify it, but not at any time.
That's right.
And I think we've got Harvey on the line with a Medicare question. Things are lighting up this morning.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning. I have a Plan G traditional supplemental. If I were to come in for a consultation, would you guys be able to see all of my EOBs and, what kinds of services I've been receiving?
So we wouldn't be able to see the explanation of benefits since that is private health care information, but you can bring them in and we can just compare those explanation of benefits and compare your plan to other plans to see if you want to switch to something or if you just want to stick with what you got.
Yeah, so unfortunately, even if you happen to have been a client of ours, so working with Frank in the past, we still don't get access to EOBs or any billing. That's something that Frank's happy to review, does it all the time, but we have to ask you to do a little homework for us to bring in the relevant information. I would say that I've seen people bring in like the last 10 years of EOBs.
Oh.
That's a lot. I would say 1 to 2 years is probably a really good jumping off point. Wouldn't you say that, Frank?
Yeah. Yeah,
Can I get those online?
Oh.
Yes, absolutely. Are you with United Healthcare, Anthem, Transamerica?
Anthem.
Anthem, yeah, you can get right online through their website and you can print off those EOBs. Now, they're usually going to be a month behind, so you probably won't have access to October right now, but you should be able to go back to what's before October? August? September, yeah.
Don't mind, Frank.
I cannot think backwards. I can't do backwards math.
Frank's he's a forward-looking man.
That's right. But yeah, you should be able to print those off, no problem, and yeah, give us a call.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Harvey. What if your spouse does not collect Social Security? Can their premiums come out of your Social Security?
Yes. As long as you all have been married, I believe, over 10 years, then you can collect your spouse's Social Security.
Oh, so as opposed to Social Security collecting, I think what he is asking is, like, let's say that your spouse isn't collecting any Social Security yet. How do they pay their premiums? They can't have it deducted from your Social Security, right?
So if it can't be deducted, then they'll just send you a bill in the mail quarterly. So every 3 months, you'll get a bill in the mail.
Right. So unfortunately, you can't assign premiums to another Social Security collector's check. But like Frank said, if you're not collecting Social Security, don't worry, they find you. They're going to bill you.
They do.
And then when you begin your Social Security, even if you're claiming off of a spouse, like Frank just mentioned, they will automatically flip over to pulling it out of your Social Security check. All right, we've got a dental question.
All right.
Frank, my dentist isn't in the Aetna Gold Network, so am I out of luck with the reimbursement?
Okay, so I'll answer this for each separate year. So 2024, Aetna does not have a dental network. You can go to any licensed dentist in the country and get reimbursed up to $3,250 for 2024.
So that also means for all of you that have asked your dentist, are they in the Aetna Gold Network? The answer is always going to be no this year because there was no network.
That's right.
So that's not a concern.
That's not a concern. 2024, you go to anyone. 2025, if your dentist is not in the network, all of the Medicare Advantage HMO plans, dental works like a PPO. So you can go in or out of network on the Aetna HMO plan, or if you have a different HMO plan.
So, and this is a great point. Thank you for saying it that way, Frank, because I confused one of our clients, which was, someone was on the Aetna Gold HMO, and I said, oh, no, not to worry. The dental is a PPO now, and they thought I was referring to the medical. Aetna Gold Advantage is an HMO now. It's an HMO tomorrow, and I'm going to guess for the rest of time it will be an HMO only because from the beginning of its time it's been an HMO.
That's right.
And Aetna has done this over the past 15 years. They had a network, then they dropped the network. Now they've returned to a network-style plan. You still don't need to use the in-network dentist. You can go out of network, charge different prices.
That's right, and it's going to be a 50-50 split.
So you still get the full, it's $2,000 for 2025 on Aetna?
That's correct.
You still get the full $2,000, but if you go out of network, you have to spend $4,000 to get $2,000.
That's right.
Versus if you use the in-network benefits, I even think some things are covered at no charge to you. Is that correct? Like the cleanings?
Like the cleanings, and the x-rays and fluoride and the exam.
Okay, so all of your preventative dental is going to be, if you go in network, is covered at no extra charge. This is very similar to the PPO conversation we were having. If you have an in-network doctor with a PPO, you're going to spend less than if you go out of network. You still have coverage. It's just different.
You're just going to pay more. That's right.
This is an interesting question. What is the difference between the Aetna Gold Advantage and the United Healthcare ST3?
Oh, the ST3. Okay. So the United ST3, you got a max of $2,800. So that's your stopping point for medical, $2,800. Aetna's at $2,500. So Aetna's a little bit better for overall max out of pocket.
And so for all of you listening, because I know you've listened diligently from the beginning, you can tell both of these are HMO style plans because they've got under $3,000, around that $3,000 max out of pocket.
That's right. These both are HMO plans, the ST3 with United Healthcare and the Aetna Gold. The dental on the ST3 is $1,000. And on the United Healthcare ST3, $1,000. And on the Aetna Gold, it's $2,000. And they both have dental networks.
So I feel like the ST3 with United and the Aetna Gold are very similar. I feel like the Aetna kind of comes out ahead a little bit with its max out of pocket, its extra benefits. And I know I'm changing the question, but the Aetna Gold and the ST4 with United Healthcare seem to be an interesting comparison because I am thinking of the ST4 as the extra benefits HMO with United. ST3 is like stripped down, lower max out of pocket. ST4 extra benefits, higher max out of pocket.
Exactly. That ST3 is going to get you basically the bare minimum. And compared to the ST4 with a $3,300 max out of pocket and $4,000 dental, that one is a lot more beefed up on those extra benefits.
And I think this is where working with someone like Frank comes in handy, because if we go back to Julie, who we talked about at the beginning of the show, who uses quite a bit of medical care throughout the year, and it's a known quantity, meaning she has the same procedures every year. She hits her max out of pocket. If United was her only option, the extra benefits are probably less important. So looking at that ST3 makes a lot of sense because there's still extra benefits available to you, but you have the lower max out of pocket.
That's right. That's right. And that's what made the Aetna plan so good for her, is because that low max out of pocket, $2,500, and she still gets $2,000 dental.
So you get almost like the best of both worlds. But I think like I said, the nice thing is Frank is going to be able to get into the nuances with you, not only of the plans, but of your needs. So a lot of times like, for example, Julie was able to not only move from a PPO to an HMO, she moved from United to Aetna. You were able to, hey, let's set the base here, which is which plans fit, and then you can back into what the best option is, knowing all these doctors are in the network. What's the best option for you, Julie, based on your health care?
Exactly. And you're exactly right about that, because we looked at the United Healthcare plans. We looked at the Humana plans, the Essence plans. Every insurance company across the table, we looked at the plans, and at the end of the day, it came down to, I'm going to hit my max out of pocket. Put me in something that I'm going to have, full access to all of my doctors, but I'm going to pay the absolute minimum. And the Aetna Gold was fantastic for her.
And we got another Aetna Gold question before we take our break, which is, my dentist wants me to see a specialist, an endodontist, for a possible crown. Will Aetna cover a visit to the specialist?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Any of those specialists with dental work, prosthodontics, endodontics, all the otics, they will be covered.
So, and this year, if you use it, you've got the $3,750. It's reimbursable, a reimbursable benefit, meaning you pay out of pocket first. If you're not biting the bullet, so to speak, until next year, it's the PPO style. It's not a reimbursement, so you'll probably pay less when you're at the dentist's office. That'll just depend if your endodontist is in or out of network.
That's right. That's right.
Very cool. All right, Frank, do you have any closing thoughts for our first Saturday of November? We've only got, 5 weeks of open enrollment left?
Yeah. Well, okay.
I was like, okay.
That's a lot more than I thought. I'm ready for Christmas break. It's time to open some presents. But no, I would say, we've been seeing about 6, 7, sometimes 8 people a day, including phone calls, 9, 10 a day. So it's not too late. If you are on the fence about what you should do for next year or have any questions whatsoever about your plan and want to compare those plans, come and see us, because it's not too late. We've been, like I said, seeing a lot of people. And given the landscape of Medicare for next year, you're going to want to make sure that you are still in the best plan.
Fantastic. That's a great point, Frank. You are seeing at least 6 people in the office every day. I know you are doing reviews by email as well, just saying, hey, you're still in a great spot, or I think we've got something better for you. So if you are someone, like Frank said, that's still looking at your options, give our office a call, 314-863-0008, or hop on the website, jblfinancial.com, click the Contact Us button, and say, I'd like to chat with Frank. In-office appointments are still available, phone, and then also if you just say, Frank, could you review this? Maybe we can do this by email. You might get a response quicker because the calendar is filling up, but we have time, and we have some assistance for Frank, so doing the comparisons, and then Frank doing the final evaluation to say, this, I agree, this is the right spot. So don't hesitate. Like I said, give us a call. Thanks for being here this morning, Frank.
Absolutely, and thank you, listeners.
Enjoy your next 36 hours of break time before you're back at it Monday morning.
Let's go. We're ready.
All right. And please know, all of you, hang with us for the next minute or two. We'll be right back after these messages.
We're back. We got about 8 minutes left in the show.
We do.
The phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. And what a great discussion you guys had about Medicare. We're doing this every day in our office, yes, helping our clients that are getting ready to retire, or those folks that they're enrolling in Medicare.
That's right. Or they're reviewing their plans as we speak.
Life is good.
And the texts, they keep on coming.
And our next texter writes, if Advantage plans are free and they give you spending money, how is the insurance company making money?
I always love it when people are concerned if, some of the largest companies in the world are making their money.
Guys, will someone please think of the insurers?
So the insurance, all jokes aside, the insurance companies make money in a few ways. The first is they are paid a capitation fee from the government, which means that for every individual enrolled on a specific insurance company's plan, the government is going to pay them a certain dollar amount. In the past, you may have heard about insurance companies doing evaluations on the health of their members. That is to determine what that capitation per member is from the government. So the healthier an insurance company's members are, the less per member the government pays. The opposite is true depending upon comorbidities and health of the members that are in a certain insurance company's plan. Also, your Medicare Part B premium is actually reassigned to the insurance companies to help cover your expenses. You also participate in the expense of your plan through copays and coinsurance and that maximum out-of-pocket that you have. And the insurance companies employ a army of actuaries to figure out how to price the plans, what benefits to offer that are going to provide them with more members, which will get them more capitation and also contain their costs over time. They've been doing this for quite some time, not only in the Medicare channel, but with group health insurance, individual health insurance. And since they are some of the most profitable and longest-standing companies in the country, I'd say they do a pretty good job of figuring that side of things out.
Oh, I'm glad you touched on the Part B premiums, just to keep hammering that everyone pays it. And many of these Advantage plans are free, but not all. There's still a few out there that are
premiums, rather.
Still some low premiums associated with some of these plans. Not many, but they're still out there.
All right.
And our next texter writes, is Aetna Gold Advantage still offering the Pay Flex card at $120 per quarter? Is he speaking of this calendar year or next?
Well, let's answer both. For this year?
For this year, I don't think it's at $120.
For this year, it is at $120.
Next year, I believe it goes to $60 a quarter.
That's correct. So it's still offering the benefit. It's just going to be cut in half. However, I've heard they've expanded the number of items that you can purchase.
So they took away some cash, but they expanded the menu of options on the other side of it.
So hopefully you'll be able to find more things to buy.
And our next texter writes, after meeting an annual Advantage max out of pocket, is that it for the year, or do hospitals, doctors, etc. have a separate percentage that is billed? Thank you.
When you hit your maximum out of pocket on the medical side for the year, you are done paying as long as your services are covered by the plan and covered by Medicare. And you, if, for example, are using an HMO, are in network. Your max out of pocket is your maximum liability. That does not include your prescriptions, though. So for next year, when they cap prescriptions at $2,000, if you're on the Aetna Gold, your max out of pocket is $2,500. The prescriptions is $2,000. So theoretically, you could spend $4,500 in a year, but you cannot spend more than that.
And our next texter writes, so if I'm understanding correctly, Aetna is having in-network dentists for the first time. So if I use an in-network dentist, we will get cheaper services, so our $2,000 max will go further.
Are you looking for a part-time job, texter? That's exactly right. We can have you come out and help Frank for open enrollment. You have it on the head. Always using in-network benefits is going to give you not only the best prices, but it's going to help your benefits or your dollars go further. However, if you go out of network with the dentist, you're still getting the $2,000. You are just going to have to spend more money to get it, or it's going to not go nearly as far. Either way to think of it.
Well, that's because they're only going to pay the reasonable customary charges.
Right, they're only getting 50% reimbursement. You're done.
And our next texter writes, how does the quote-unquote prior authorization appeal work, and who actually authorizes an appeal?
So if you are denied a service or a test procedure lab, whatever the case is, even a prescription, you are going to request the appeal. A prior authorization is when your doctor's office says, texter needs an MRI. The physician says the insurance company says we need a prior authorization before you can administer the service. So the doctor's office or the provider gets the prior authorization. If the prior authorization is denied, then the doctor's office is generally the one that appeals with your permission, because they're going to include a explanation as to why you need those services. And then most likely your physician is going to have a conversation with the insurance company's physician. That's called a peer-to-peer, and they're going to make a decision as to if it makes sense for you to have this service, or if the insurance company says you need to do a few other things before you can have the service that was originally requested. And the insurance company is essentially the one that would authorize the appeal, meaning saying the appeal is been approved, and then you would have access to your service. If the insurance company denies the appeal, you can actually appeal directly to Medicare. You and your physician would do that directly, essentially going above your insurance company's head. They'll make the decision and then report back to the insurance company as to what they're going to be required to do.
And our last texter writes, love the show this morning. I've learned an awful lot. With that said, I plan on retiring at the end of this year. How soon should I make my appointment, and what do I need to bring with me?
So please give our office a call, 314-863-0008, or go to the website, jblfinancial.com. Click on the Contact Us button. Let us know you'd like to come in and see us. The sooner the better if you're planning to retire at the end of the year, because we certainly don't want to get involved in family time. And we'll be happy to provide you with a list of documents that we'd like you to bring in so we can have a well-educated chat about your retirement game plan, along with a financial questionnaire that gives us a little information about you.
See you next week.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.